traffic to get in.
Yeah.
Call to order the December 15th, 2015 regular call board meeting. We had appropriate public notification of the meeting. As we saw in the PDF, we now have a confirmation of a quorum. As we have 5, Mr. Miller is on the way. I will entertain a motion to enter executive session.
Madam Chair, make a motion we enter executive session for personnel matter.
Second.
Yep, personnel, as well as the superintendent's evaluation.
So that will be my motion.
Thank you. Mr. Frick made a motion, Pastor Jackson seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll return no later than 6:30. We have a few minutes before returning to public session. I'd ask the board members to complete the evaluation forms that are in the packets. Entertain a motion to exit executive session during which no action was taken.
Madam Chair, make a motion to exit executive session.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Brick, and those that seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Again, welcome to the December 15th, 2015 regular calls board meeting, Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. We appreciate the hospitality of our hosts, Mr. Dinkins and staff, for allowing us to see this facility and bring the public here as well. So thank you for hosting, and it's always nice to come into our district facilities. The Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence.
All stand. Pledge of allegiance. I believe Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While we're all standing, we take a moment of silence and reflection.
Move to the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Britt. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposition? 1. Abstentions? 1. Thank you. And public comment.
Madam Chair, I have received no public comment. I don't see anybody coming to call.
All right, thank you. We'll move to the superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, first of all, I'd like to bring your attention to the newsletter that continues to impress me every month. And so Wallace has done a tremendous job of capturing all the tremendous things that are going on here throughout the Fairfield County School District. One thing of note I'd like to bring to your attention is on the back page, the high school has done an absolutely tremendous job putting our young people in a position to pursue education after they walk across the stage at Fairfield Central High School. And I think we have about somewhere around 175 kids in the class. And currently, and I say currently we have, based on the list you see there, approximately 92 students who've already been accepted to college. And so I think, particularly at this stage of the game, is a tremendous accomplishment. And so the guidance staff and administration at Fairfield Central High School is to be commended. Outstanding job. I project at this rate, by the time we get to May, there's no telling where we be in terms of the number of students that have been accepted to colleges and universities, and enrolling, and enlisting in the military. So we don't want to forget those young people who were elected to serve our nation. One other thing is that you probably noticed that there's quite a bit of traffic outside. We had a basketball game at the high school today, in addition to a fine arts concert and just a related arts activity at the high school auditorium sponsored by Fairfield Middle School. And so these young people have an opportunity to display all of their outstanding talent. And so we'll have orchestra there, we'll have the band there, we'll have the chorus there, and many other groups. So if we get out of here early enough, which I hope we do, then maybe we can start by the auditorium and with some of our talented young people. And that's all I have now, Joe.
Thank you. And so that explains the parking being a premium and not so many people here in the board meeting. The next part of the superintendent's report is the...
Madam Chair, I had a question for you to this.
Okay.
On
make sure I got the numbers correct. The students that was accepted to colleges is 92.
92 to include students who have enlisted in the military, yes. So that is on the back of the news alert. All the students in school that have been accepted.
Is it broken down by 2-year schools, 4-year schools in the military?
Pardon?
Is it broken down by 2-year schools, 4-year schools in the military?
The schools are listed.
So military is not included.
There's no good.
All right. So we'll move on to under the superintendent's report, part 2, superintendent's evaluation. The superintendent's evaluation instrument consists of 5 categories: community engagement, student achievement, leadership, learning environment, and fiscal management. The board members are using the instrument that we have used now for the entire time that Dr. Green has been with us, and this is also an instrument that is used by other superintendents. The board members rate the superintendent exemplary, proficient, or needs improvement on all of the 5 categories, and have the opportunity to make comments and additional comments, as well as signing the form for the superintendent to keep. So that's the summary of that. We'll move on to part.
Madam Chair, I have a comment I would like to make on the superintendent's evaluation.
Okay.
And I would like for the record to reflect that I'm deeply concerned that there are not goals and objectives set. And this has been a concern every year that we use this instrument. And this instrument is not the instrument that the School Board Association recommends that is used. While I think the categories are good, which is community engagement and stated student achievement, leadership, learning environment, and fiscal management, but there should be more specific goals listed up under each of the different categories. Because we're trying to evaluate on categories and not goals and objectives. And we did not receive the information in advance stating the accomplishments, and I guess it would be of the goals that Dr. Green would have had set for himself, which would have helped if we could have received that in advance and had an opportunity to review it so we could have asked educated questions tonight. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
also this particular evaluation was adopted when I started on the board, so it was not then when he actually started.
It's been used every year since he's been superintendent.
So prior to me being on the board, because you were here for pre and what years, so you weren't I guess you weren't evaluated during that time until afterward.
I've been evaluated every year.
Right, but you were here
So
short of a year when I came on. You follow me?
Yes. So you're right. You won't hold up my first evaluation.
And that was when it was adopted, this particular evaluation.
Well, it was,
Format.
yes.
And given that, there's a recommendation that we made by the board regarding the superintendent's contract. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I recommend, or I move that the school board authorize you as chair to execute an amendment to the superintendent's contract, extending the term of the contract for 1 year or until June 30th, 2022. I give a second.
Second that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson, for the motion. Mr. Miller for the second. Discussion or questions now?
The board, I haven't received a copy of his contract. You're not going to receive that? Pardon me?
I can get you a copy, we can get a copy, but not tonight.
Why isn't it presented if that's what we're bringing up?
We're not presenting the contract, we're presenting an amendment to the contract to add 1 year.
So that's
So-
how many years?
Till 2022.
So that's how many years that is on there?
Let's see.
So what's the average in other districts?
I don't know. I can't speak for other districts.
The average is 3.
Okay.
So what's the advantage of having him at 6? And what's the disadvantage?
That's a question you have to ask yourself.
I'm asking you as a chair.
That's the question. My answer to you is you will have to ask yourself that question, and when your vote comes out, then you will have answered that question.
Okay, if he leaves the district, he decides to leave, what's that cost as far as years that we have to pay for?
I think it's an 18-month. I don't know. I don't have a contract.
That's why we should have a contract.
Okay, let Dr. Green answer.
So Madam Chair, if I can answer that. First of all, Ms. Hardeman, if I elect to leave voluntarily, the district is not obligated to pay me anything. Okay? And so in terms of, what is the value of extending my contract? I think it says to me that the school district is committed to my tenure in Fairfield County. Now, I think I have exhibited that I am committed to being in Fairfield County. I have all intentions of remaining here over the next many, many years. I mean, I'd like to see my 3 children graduate from school in Fairfield County. And so what this extension does is, it says to me and my family that the district is committed to me being here, as committed as I am to being here. So for me, that is the value of this extension.
So you're saying the other districts, which is the average of 3 years, does not want the same thing?
I'm not understanding the question.
The average of other districts, which has been stated to me in conferences I've gone to, the average is, and that's the majority of more than 90%, are 3 years, is what the contract is for superintendents. So you're saying those districts don't want to retain their superintendent?
I'm not speaking on all the districts, Ms. Hartman. There are some superintendents that have 3-year contracts. There are some superintendents that have 5-year contracts. There are multiple contracts. I'm not concerned with what other districts do. But what I'm concerned with is this board showing me that they are committed to me being here as I am committed to being here. And so rather, Beaufort County elects to give their board a 3-year contract, a 4-year contract, a 5-year contract. I don't necessarily see where that is germane to what we're doing here in Fairfield County.
Okay, what's the disadvantages of if there's something comes up in the board, not saying you will do anything, but we have to pay you if we let you go?
That has nothing to do with the number of years of my contract.
So you're saying we're not responsible for paying the amount of years on it if we
No.
let you go?
No, that is correct.
If there's a good reason to let you go?
Yes, if the board terminates me with cause, then they are obligated to pay the balance of contract.
Madam Chair. Just
I
so
would like to
Ms.
have a call.
Hartman understands that whether we let superintendents in this district go with cause or without cause, the board members who have elected to pay the superintendents regardless. So that doesn't mean that superintendent will not get paid. Now, if I heard your question correctly, Ms. Hartman, you asked what was the value to the board. I commend Dr. Green for looking out for himself. Everybody don't look out for their own self, but we should be looking out for the district. And I don't think that whether he has 6 years or 3 years, because like he stated, hopefully the amendment still retains an escape clause or an out clause that if we have board members who are committed, that they wouldn't cut deals with the superintendent if the superintendent does do something wrong and has to be dismissed with cause. But Madam Chair, the question or concern that I have is, if I'm understanding you correctly, we're voting on an amendment to a contract. And apparently you already knew this amendment was going to be presented tonight, because I didn't hear you say in executive session that Reverend Jackson was going to be making a motion. So is there a reason that we didn't have the amendment drawn up so that we could have it to review? or we're asking educated, intelligent people to vote for a contract that we're not able to review.
Ms. McDaniel, the action under the agenda item, I think is clear. There's going to be a recommendation regarding the superintendent's contract. In the past 4 years, we've done the same. We've extended.
Last year, we had an amended contract for us, because we had the maternity leave.
Right, but that, I don't know the difference. I think we just had an attorney, I don't know that there was any difference.
We had the actual amendment in front of us so we could review it.
There was, Madam Chair, if I may, and what I recall on that is there was an extension and there was a change in the buyout. So we were talking about the numbers that he would get in a payout in that eventuality, and there was a change in the time of the buyout is what I recall on that. So I think that would be the difference why we had it in board docs for review versus a simple contract extension with no other terms being changed. That's the way I'm.
Now, Mr. Green, as an attorney, you know darn well,
Mr.
you don't
Green,
ask
don't
people to
talk
sign
about-
stuff that they don't have in front of them.
You're not going to talk
You know
about
that.
how I
You know
practice
that.
law, Ms. McDaniel.
You know that.
No,
You
we're
know
not
that you
doing
do not ask people to sign stuff and vote for stuff they don't have in front of them to review.
Mr. McDaniel, you're not my client.
So my question
And I
again
don't-
to you, Madam Chair, is you knew that we was going to be discussing this tonight, and we do not have the amended contract in front of us for review.
The amendment is to extend the superintendent's contract for 1 year. That's the amendment.
And we do not have the contract in front of us. So if we vote on the amendment tonight, then we're going to vote on the contract at the next board meeting.
Contract was voted on several
The
years ago.
amendment to the contract is supposed to be voted on.
We are going to vote on the amendment. We have a motion and a second. We're going to vote on the amendment, which is to extend the contract 1 year.
Okay, now listen, we can continue to do this kind of regular stuff on this board, but we should have that amendment in front of us.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say that the reason why I'm in favor of extension is because of stability. You all know, y'all know that it's a message that we send to the community, to our constituents, that we are here in the district is doing well, and that we continue to have Mr. Green, Dr. Green as our superintendent. That's all that is. It's a message, and it's for the staff also to know that this is going to be our superintendent for the next 6 years. That's the way I look at it. So, for stability, we have had a problem with stability. Let's face it, man. You know, we go back into those days. When we had 11, 12 superintendents in 10 years. Talking about stability now. I'm feeling good about it. I go to the board, South Carolina board meetings, and nobody's looking down on Fairfield County. Makes me feel good. What y'all got going? They're coming to us. So yes, absolutely, stability. And Mr. Green is doing a great job. Not a good job. He's doing a great job. I'm gonna say that. I say it in front of his face. That he's doing a great job. I just want to say it.
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
Fred, it was not in board doc for us to review last year. It was presented to us by the lawyer in executive session, the contract. I want to correct, you said it was in board doc.
Madam Chair, may I briefly for 1 second? We get in our emails on almost a daily basis the news clippings from around the state. I see Greenwood's looking for somebody. Charleston has got issues. I think we're all aware about Chester's issues. I think we're all aware of their issues all over the state. We are not in that situation right now. And quite frankly, I like having Mr. Green tied up on a 6-year contract because I think that gives him stability. It gives us excellent staff out here stability. The teachers that we've got stability that they know. And Mr. Green's not going to be looking up the road to Chester. Mr. Crane, not gonna be looking down to, even Jasper is now
Jasper's
open.
looking.
And Jasper, I believe, may exceed our contract, but there's plenty of places he could be looking. And he has made it clear that he wants Fairfield County to be his home. And I know, I think I recall when we asked him to become a resident and send his children here, he did it. And I think we all know that hadn't always been the case here in Fairfield. And I'm proud you're our superintendent. I'm proud you wish to continue working for us here. And I'm proud of the staff that you have assembled, because we all know you may be the quarterback, but it's the line that makes the quarterback look good. And you've done a good job on that. And that is why I gave you the recommendation I did and why I voted for this guy. Thank you.
Madam Chair, since you've taken statements about the contract and the 6 years, and already stated somewhat of concern, but board members who were not on here, and I can understand Mr. Miller, the same thing he said in Green, who said they're a superintendent. And there are superintendents and there are board members who have relationships, and there are things that's being done that should not be done. So we need to be real true and real honest with ourselves when we talk about why we vote for the superintendent, why we support the superintendent. This district is not about the superintendent. And all of us have jobs that we don't have 2 and 3 and 4 year contracts to help us decide whether or not we want to stay. We stay because it's the job that we want to do, and if we don't, then we'll apply for something else. But we shouldn't have to buy or pay for somebody to stay in this district. If you want to stay and you're doing a great job and everybody loves you, you stay out of that commitment. And it shouldn't have to be a 6 year contract, because when God step in and something happens, it won't be 6 years. And if he continues to allow it to go great, then it'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the duty here is not about whether someone likes Mr. Green or whether or not he gets a 6 or 3 year contract. It's about when board members ask for information, they should be able to receive that information without 4 door stoppers keeping the information from coming to the board members. And people who can say, oh, things are going so great, they don't sit on the side of the table, they don't have all the information that we have. And I'm not saying they're not going great, but what I am saying is, regardless of whether Green's contract is 1 year or 6 years, when we ask him for information, he should give us that information. And you as the chair of this board need to make sure that you conduct the board meetings the way you have been trained to conduct them. And that is not to not give board members information when they ask for it.
Okay, let's go back to the motion and the second that has been on the floor. I think the discussion has gone awry, so we will vote. Would you repeat the motion, Pastor Jackson?
The motion is to extend the superintendent's contract for 1 year or until June the 30th, 2022.
Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand.
Madam Chair, you're taking a vote before we can finish his evaluation?
I have asked for those in
Well,
favor.
I had time to finish the evaluation over here.
Okay. Those in favor signify by the raising of the right hand.
Madam Chair, second.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I did.
Opposition? 1. Abstention?
Opposition.
Opposition 2. Thank you.
I think we would need to have a normal contract, not double what other districts have.
Is that for the record?
Yes, that's for the record.
Okay, could you state that so we'll be sure to get it correctly?
I feel like the contract should be what normal districts have, 3 years. That's not against Mr. Green as such, but I don't see with the reasoning of why we should have 6 years versus an average of 3 years.
Let me say this right here. I was down there to help the legislature, and I was just talking to some of the superintendents, and they told me that they had got extensions. So I don't know if some people talking to you. I'm telling you that they get extensions. You know, as one was telling me he had 5 years, 6 years. So I'm just saying that I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking facts. Thank you.
Okay, let's
Madam-
move on.
Madam Chair,
Let's
as far
move
as that
on. Let's
contract,
move on.
I'm
We're
just gonna
moving
say,
on.
we started off with a
We're moving
4-year
on.
contract, and we were
We're
adding to each
moving
year.
on.
And then,
Finance,
so, I mean,
operations
so
and
it gradually
finance.
ended up getting to 6 years or whatever it is.
Operations and finance. There is nothing under curriculum instruction, I'm correct? No items there, okay?
Good evening. The November finance report is in the board packet for your review.
Madam Chair, you stated, one of you guys stated that the turnover in different superintendents in all of this, well, in some of those districts, according to the newspaper, problems come around because board members do not receive all the information. And if you read some of the articles in the newspaper, it's some real backlash.
Okay, we
So-
moved on to
May I please
operations.
ask my doggone question?
Are there,
Now, my
are
question
there
is,
questions
can
for
Mr.
operation
Green-
and finance?
My question is, can
Are there
Mr.
questions
Green
for
give us
operation
a
finance?
report?
With all due
I guess
respect,
so.
Ms. McDaniel, that's the board chair.
Then she should
Are
respect me
there-
and let me finish my question.
We've moved on to operations and finance. If you have an operations and finance question,
If you
please
would give
ask
me
it.
time, I was gonna get there.
No, you're
Do you like to sit over there
reiterating
yet?
the
You don't
other.
have children on this board, Mrs. Green? Now,
Has
my,
nothing to do with
the
children.
point I'm trying to make is,
You do not either, Ms. McDaniel. Now,
thank you,
come on,
Mr. President.
come on.
Thank you, now, now you're on business. Now, what
You
I'm
have
trying
no
to
problem
ask
running
is,
anybody else.
what I'm trying to ask is that instead of.
There are no
the report-
questions for
instead of the
operations
report-
and finance.
Instead of the finance
We'll move
report,
to
just
human
being given to
resources.
us, then the superintendent needs to be explaining the report and not just putting it in the packet for us to review. Madam
Since there are
Chair.
no
Good.
questions, we'll move to human resources.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For your approval, you have certified resignations and terminations in Exhibit 1.
You ain't never been on no board here on.
Excuse me.
You're right. They've always-
Superintendent's recommendation is that the board approve the resignations, terminations for professional staff in Exhibit 1. Is there a motion?
No good.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. The superintendent approve the resignation, termination for professional certified staff. Providing a second. Exhibit 1.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 has a motion. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I say.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation for Exhibit 1, resignations and terminations, please signify by the raising of the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you. And recommendations.
Recommendations are indicated in Exhibit 2, where the superintendent recommends the board recommend for certified professional staff members.
And you said that was with super replacement, correct? Or what did you look at?
This is for a recommendation.
Madam Chair,
The
make a motion.
superintendent.
Madam Chair, make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for Exhibit 2.
Thank you, Mr. Britt.
Sorry.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. There's been a motion and a second. Those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, approval of the professional certified staff member, signify by the raising of the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposition. 1. Abstention. Okay, we'll move on. Under the board chair report, the first thing that is obviously missing is a board member. Miss Andrea Teresa Harrison passed away shortly after our last board meeting on November the 18th. Her funeral was held at Fairfield Central High School on the 22nd, I believe. And Ms. McDaniel represented the board in recognizing Ms. Harrison's service on the board. I couldn't really separate those two because I didn't want to go further, waiting further to say that. So we have placed in the board docs the proclamation that Ms. McDaniel read and presented to the family. And Ms. McDaniel, I'd like for you to read that again if you don't mind, so that we can have it for the public that's here.
Well, actually, Madam Chair, I talked to Ms. Harrison's mother and aunt, and they would like us to hold this off until the February board meeting, so they can be in attendance. And also the Black Caucus of school board members did up a resolution for her. So it's not a problem if we can hold off and do that in February.
Okay, no problem. No, thank you. I did receive 2 cards. One was from the Harrison family, and the other one from Richland School District 1. The Harrison family certainly was in appreciation, and the school district, the Richland 1 school district was in, is a condolence card. So I'd like for all the board members to see and read those and appreciate those. Upcoming conferences.
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
one minute, on the vote for the recommendations for the new teacher, did you change that to vote for it online? I will put it on that and we'll catch it.
We'll get back
So
to
you
it.
can adjust that. Thank you.
The upcoming conferences are listed. The Advocacy Institute, Ms. McDaniel, will you be attending that one in January?
The FRN?
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
formally FRN, yes.
Oh, yeah, now after
Advocacy Institute. Anyone else planning to attend there on that one? You will, Pastor Jackson? Okay. Thank you. That's in Washington, D.C., and that's time is set aside to meet representatives and talk about those legislative agendas.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is it possible we can get some school district memorabilia to take with us? Because they approved whatever that act was, that's supposed to be really favorable for school district, what's the name of it? The EESA.
Oh, the
Yeah.
one that's just been signed by the
Yeah.
president.
Yeah, so we can get something maybe to take and give to the members of our delegation.
I think that would be great. Ms. Brown, when you work with them on what they take, maybe a T-shirt, what some sort of, what you just like general Fairfield school district items.
No pads.
How about
Okay,
something
it's-
with Griffin on it, saying, lift more paintings from Indian land into our district? Just wanted to know.
No, we should.
Please, that'd be great. I'd like to
Whatever she put in.
become acquainted with our mascot.
The next conference is the School Board Association Annual Conference, and I don't know, but I imagine all of us will be in attendance at that. That certainly is a worthwhile conference. And then the next one on here is the annual conference for the National School Board Association in Boston, and I don't know whose intentions are for attending that.
I think I'm attending that one. Madam Chair, can we go back to the annual conference? Because there are quite a few board members that expressed concern. I think Ms. Brown did as well when she sent out information with the housing. Can we ask her if she heard a response? Because I think you sent some to Ms. Hampton. Did you know?
And they just basically put us on the wait list with everybody else. And I don't know if my expression of dislike with the housing situation because us to go on the waiting list or not, but it's the same process. They haven't responded to this everybody email at 8:30 process, and then they just go through the
Because they said that was the reason why they moved from Emerson Suites, because of the housing situation. It didn't seem like it's the same thing. But I talked to quite a few other board members that said they tried to do the same thing. Anyway, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for your efforts. I know it's painful. The next is the compensation committee recommendation. I appreciate the work of the ad hoc committee. I know that y'all have met several times, including with Ms. Harrison as well. So we certainly appreciate your efforts on that, and I know that, I see that you have a recommendation.
I'll let Mr. Frick, he is very good at how to explain things to Mr. Frick.
I think that's what they pay me to do sometimes. No, thank you, though. Thank you. Of course, this committee was originally set up for Mr. Miller, Ms. Harrison, and myself to explore compensation, as we talked about, and I think we invited Senator Coleman and Representative Douglas to come talk to us about this. Currently, by statute, the statute that I could find, which was Act 191 from 1991 that created the elected school board in Fairfield County, said that the school board would not receive compensation, but would receive a per diem, and that is the $35 per meeting that we are receiving. That is kind of a standard per diem when there's no other per diem set. We reviewed several other school districts. It's wide-ranging. Some of y'all may recall that discussion from earlier. We believe that at this point, it's not a time to talk about numbers. It's a time for us to probably send that part back to the board, for the board to kick that around, because that's probably not a decision that needs to be made by 3 people. So what we are proposing is requesting that our legislative delegation amend that Act 191 from 1991 to remove the language that says that the board receives no compensation, and simply says that the board would be compensated monthly, or I had some proposed language, receive a monthly stipend in an amount to be determined by the board. And according to language, basically state law, you can only receive the stipend upon actual attendance of the meeting. We added language that said, or if you had medical reasons, or for other good cause approved by board chair. Of course, I made a draft. I am not the one who would write the proposed bill. There are people in Columbia who get paid to do that. But I have, this is what Mr. Miller and I and Ms. Harrison discussed, and this is our proposal. So it is I guess it would be, I don't think it requires a second since it is from the committee, but the motion officially would be to request our legislative delegation to amend the prior law. And I'm saying it's Act 191 of 1991. They may determine that it's different, but that is what I was able to determine, to allow the board to set compensation.
Okay, the committee has made a recommendation, and then we'll vote on that after discussion.
And I failed to turn it in time so Ms. Brown could get into board docs, but I do have copies of the proposed law that we discussed. So if anybody would like a hard copy of that, I'd be glad to hand that to you this time. And just by way of explanation, as you look at of course, it's only a small part. I think it's on page 2, section 5. The underlined language is the proposed language. The struck through language is the current language that we're asking to amend or would request. Again, this is just simply a draft. This is up for legislative delegation to draft a statute, but I believe this would deal with our request.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Freed, did I understand you, or did I misunderstand you? You said that Senator Coleman and Representative Douglas came to the committee?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. They were not. No, ma'am. That was just a meeting when they came before us when we were in the school district, and then they told us to give them a proposal. So this is what we were offering as a proposal at this time.
Further discussion, questions? Hearing none, then the proposal is that the Board of Trustees, Fairfield County School District, authorizes the board chair to request that the Fairfield County Legislative Delegation sponsor legislation that removes the cap on school board trustees compensation. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposition? 1, 2. Thank you. All right, we'll move to adjournment. I'll just bring your attention to the side pocket items and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, one question. As far as the transfers was, is there a particular lock? Why is there a lock on there?
I believe that has, that when one logs in, then the transfer, it comes up. It doesn't for just the general public until after.
Why would that be out in public?
Until after the meeting.
Okay, so if there's any corrections or something, or is that what you're saying, why are you saying?
Just time sensitive.
I would think that would be just like the budget, as far as open to the public.
Right. And it would, and it would.
Madam Chair, can I
Yes.
ask a question? I guess this is Mr. Green. How are we coming with the Hall of Fame committee?
Yes, I think the committee met for the first time last week, and so we had, I think, 3 of the 4 representatives in attendance. And so they're going through the packets currently, and I think they'll be having some recommendations to present very soon. You know, as I said before, I honor the recommendations of the committee, and so I don't tweak it at all. And so those who they have identified as being their choices to be inducted this year is who I go with. So that process is currently ongoing.
Is it representative?
Every board member was asked to submit a representative. We had 4 representatives, I think, that were submitted, so we now have 7. 5 that were submitted. So we do not have 7 representatives.
I guess the question is it too late for who have any of the other board members? I guess, we lost Ms. Harris, yeah. But at least, is it too late?
If I may, Board, Mr.
Yes.
Reed. Ms. Harrison had a representative. She and I had a discussion prior to passing, so she had a representative. We did not have a representative from Ms. Hartman or Pastor Jackson. So we have 5 individuals serving on the board, and they have already started evaluating the nominees. I can certainly take it to the committee and ask them their pleasure as to bring on 2 additional members. But it is our hope that they will have completed the paperwork by the 1st week of January. We're going to work through the holidays. So I can certainly approach the committee.
I just want everybody. Sometimes when we try to get everybody represented from all 7 districts.
We did, and I think ample time was probably given.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I agree. But they can get them in. The committee will let them, then that'll be great. The other things that I want to say, Ms. Chair, that on tomorrow, between 5 and 7, that they will be right across the street at United House of Prayer. They will be giving free meals to the public. So anybody that's want a good meal, you got to pay for it.
Just a minute,
Right across the street.
People that do the usual cooking, house prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Cooking?
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be good.
So we were closed down for a while, so it's something, to go back up, give, say, to the public, thank you. This is what it's all about. So thank you.
Thank you, and then let me say that as we're talking about side pocket items, I'd like to also bring to the attention of the board members the strategic plan, the planning committee nominations. There are certainly board members can participate. There are 2 that are requested, so I think those are requested by early January. So let's see what we can do to get full participation on that committee as well, because that is critical. And then we'll
Madam Chair.
entertain a motion to adjourn after Mr. Daniel.
Madam Chair, on the strategic plan, Dr. Green, you know when that committee is going to be?
I don't know if they've established a time as of yet, Mr. McDaniel. We don't have all the numbers. Have y'all established times yet?
January 26th.
So, who is we that made the decision if we hadn't turned in the names of our representatives yet?
Made a decision regarding,
The dates and the time?
I submitted the date, I chose a date based upon the availability of our district manager. I submitted that date to,
Okay, you said we, so I'm trying to clear on that.
So that's
what's the
Tuesday.
date?
So Tuesday,
What's the time?
6.
That's 6.
26th.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the time so I can make sure that everybody, recommend could be there. Only, Gail, real quick, Madam Chair, Dr. Green, there was a lot of, conversation last year with the committee regarding, persons in the district who had dedicated themselves to education all of their lives, mainly like in the 70s and 80s. And then there were people who we selected that was not part of the secondary education here in the county. So was there any effort to try to tighten that a little bit, or
And
not
so,
aware of what I'm saying?
I'm aware of what you're saying. And so let me say that the Fairfield County School District Hall of Fame is not restricted to people who have worked in the field of education, first of all. And so it is, we want to recognize any individual who has made significant contributions in the county. Secondly, as I said earlier, we honor the process. And so when the committee sits down and reads through all of the nominations and evaluate it and discuss it and come out with their decisions, then we honor that decision. And so, if someone were to suggest that the committee didn't do a good job, and therefore the people that they identify shouldn't be recognized, someone else should be recognized, that's not something I think would be appropriate, me personally.
But first of all, it wasn't a matter of them thinking that someone didn't do a good job. It was a matter of the criteria that had been established. And I think I raised the issue about some of the criteria when it was first established, not by board members, because I don't think we even, as a board, reviewed it to make any comments regarding it. But it's very misleading to say it's the Fairfield County School District Hall of Fame, whether we use all those specific words or not. And we're awarding to people who have not made a contribution to the school district except but through their job. And that's what the concern was and what the discussion, is my understanding, was about. Making sure that we are showing honorage, making sure that we're honoring people in the county who have contributed. I mean, I think it's a, and I'm talking to board members, it's a difficult thing when, or it should be, when we have people who have devoted their lives to education in this district, and when time comes to honor them, we are, for whatever reason, choosing not to when we know that they've done a good job. And I'm just hoping that you guys will go back and revisit, because it was discussion, is my understanding, amongst the committee. Now, how they resolved it, I have no words about it. But I'm just asking that some different thought be given to it. But we have people who have really dedicated themselves to, in their 70s and 80s here in this district. And Madam Chair, we were supposed to, on the ASAP, we were supposed to get follow-ups on the number of students that was eligible to receive their diploma, and the ones that, how many was left over and didn't, but hasn't the calendar deadline passed already?
I think the deadline is this week, probably. Maybe we can answer that next time. The 155 or something like that. We have
You mean the number of students that received their diploma as a result of that new diploma?
addition.
And I guess my concern, Madam Chair, is that there are people on there that we might make personal contact with that maybe don't know or don't understand or don't realize, if we can know who those persons are to try to encourage them. I mean, because there's absolutely no, it's costing them nothing, and it can only benefit them. And it'd just be a sad state when we're about the children and people who graduated from here, and this opportunity is there, and we don't do everything that we can to make sure that every person on that list understands the importance of just merely requesting, unless they don't meet the requirements for some other reason. So that information could possibly, or at least be in my district. I would like to be able to contact them if they're any on that list who have not made application or making requests.
I don't think that's the purpose of that, and quite honestly, that's probably a violation of their privacy. If we give you a list of who didn't receive a diploma based on a test score, that would be something that really couldn't occur, because that would be violation of privacy on their part. There's been lots of advertisement about it, and I've seen lots of advertisement, but I think the deadline is like, at the end of the month, so.
But Madam Chair, I understand and I know the people in my district. And unless the attorney says I can't have the information, I'm just asking if I can be able to reach out to the people at least in my district. So if Dr. Green or whoever it is, you can check with the attorney tomorrow. And if I can have the information, send the information, and I would hope that every other board member would want to talk to the other two. If I wouldn't even want to talk to people not in my district. Some people just don't know what they don't know. And for us to say that we're about the children is something this simple. And we have people who may not know, and we, for whatever reason, don't want to take the extra step. That's sad. I mean, it's really sad.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, on that aspect, did we put advertisement out? And I know everybody doesn't get a newspaper as far as to be able to know, to be able to read it as far as to that effect.
I saw
Okay.
lots, yeah.
Okay, the other question was on the strategic plan, is there a set, how many times will they need to be meeting for the committee?
Twice.
So that's all, and that's going to be on, you said the first was going to be on the 26th. Do you know when the second date would be?
It will likely be sometime in February. I haven't established it yet. I wanted to
Probably on Tuesday at 6 again. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Miller. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate you.